Hey y'all, I'm Kimberly Warner, mama of two, lover of shoes, and serial entrepreneur. I've dedicated my life to helping women succeed in business by just being themselves. But the path isn't always easy. We have all gone through challenges and fear, but it is through those times when we learn who we really are, authentically. This podcast is for anyone who's experienced fear or is looking for the inspiration to do more, be more, or like me, rise from the ashes and be better than before. Here we go. Hey y'all, it's Kimberly, and we are back for episode 16 of Fearlessly Authentique. I am so excited that everyone is here and listening. We have a really powerful guest today. Her name is Carilu Robinson, and she is originally local to Wisconsin, lives in Kenosha, but she just moved back here from Nashville, which is one of my bucket list places. I've only been there once to see Dolly Parton, and it was the highlight of my life. I love it there. So welcome to the show, Carilu.
Thank you very much. I'm proud to be here, actually.
Yay, exciting. Now, are you a little nervous? You said this is a little nerve-wracking.
Yes, this is one of my fears I'm facing right now. I have two really strong entrepreneurial business people. I can be a little intimidated by that, but actually I'm working my way through those things so that I can become one myself.
Very awesome. She's speaking of her boss, who is sitting right next to us. That would be my friend, Mark Hujic. He is amazing. He has a business across the street from my store, Authentique, which we will get into in a little bit. So, Carilu, you are here for multiple reasons. You are not only a woman who has faced multiple fears and lots of hills, some that we have in common, and you've gotten to the top of those hills and then had some other struggles, and that's what's brought you back here to Wisconsin. And now you are starting a brand new career. And so we want to dive into that a little bit. So can you tell us a little bit about your history, maybe back to like 2007, kind of your background and what you were doing then as a female entrepreneur?
Yes. In 2007, after spending about 10 years at being a stay-at-home mom with 4 children, I decided to re-enter my work world with nutrition. And there was a company that I designed called Nutrition Peace, P-E-A-C-E, trying to make sure that people understood that food wasn't an enemy. It was to make you healthy and to get back into exercise. I had these young kids. I wanted to, relate to them too as far as stay-at-home moms and what they can do nutritionally for families. So I was working with families. I was working with businesses then in corporate wellness, designing corporate programs for the whole company, getting rid of vending machines that had, junk food in it. Yeah,
right.
Correct.
That can
just
be
little things like that.
That can be such a hard challenge as a stay-at-home mom. I was a stay-at-home mom as well, but only of 2 kids because I'm not actually crazy. So and the fact that you doubled what I had, I'm like, what? That's insane to me. But it is always a challenge, the food piece of it. And I can tell you right now that there should be some working out in this house. It's not happening yet, but there's a space over there for us. And maybe you can give me some ideas afterward when we leave the studio. So you really were like a wellness coach. You were everything wellness all around. And
Correct.
You did it as your own business.
Correct.
Once your kids went to school then, or?
Well, actually, no, my kids are age and 10 years apart. So It's almost like I had 2 set of families. I had the 2 girls, break for 5 years, then I had another daughter and then a son. Same husband, though, at the time.
Awesome. Same daddy. Okay,
Yes.
This is great.
I know everybody goes, are you 2 families? I'm like, no, actually not.
So she's when you said 2 families, yeah, that's good clarification.
Exactly.
Okay, so you've got these kids, you're starting your wellness business, you're doing some corporate counseling as well.
Yes.
And then what is one of the first kind of milestones that happens in your life that sort of transitions everything for you?
Well, the first milestone was in 2009. Things were going well. I was actually working with a company called Steel Physiques, and they were doing nutrition counseling for the stars, I would say. Trace Atkins, Tim McGraw, those type of people coming in. And we had a product called the Body Bug, which you could measure everything, which now everybody has a Fitbit, but that was kind of in the early stages. So that was kind of a milestone. I was in that business at that time in Nashville. But also at that time, the marriage was struggling. I was getting unhealthy by enduring some bad behaviors from a spouse and was kind of having that athlete mentality that I can make it work, I can fix it. And eventually, in 2011, I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer.
Wow.
Yes.
So
Here I
Whew.
am, a dietitian in wellness, promoting food to prevent cancer. I thought my credibility was gone.
Yeah, that can be very demotivating,
Hmm.
right? Because you're like feeling like you're not walking the walk, yet you have no control over
I
cancer.
was walking the walk. I
Yeah,
should have not gotten cancer,
right,
right?
right,
I was walking the walk in my relationship. I should not be thinking I should be divorced.
right.
It's all those things that kind of transformed into the next, I would say, decade now. Yeah, 2011. Now it's 2021. So,
Okay. So tell us a little bit about your journey through cancer and when did you get divorced? Was that in that process or after the process? Because obviously you're here and you're well, and we're so happy
yes.
that
Oh, yes.
that you overcame that hill.
I'm now
But
6 years cancer free
awesome.
at a moment in my life where I put all the effort, making sure the kids are going to be okay,
Hmm.
getting them through their challenges, off to college, whatever they needed to do. That was my focus. And then my parents got sick. Taking care of them, making sure that was okay. So again, I put my career side again second. I finally am at a moment in time. All my kids are fine. They're off my docket, so to speak. And I have this moment that's only going to happen once. I've always loved finances. At the kitchen table, no, there was healthy food also. Very much a passionate person about nutrition, but we talked about how do you spend your money? You know, the long-term investment goals that you should have. My
Right.
dad was an entrepreneur, had his own business. My grandfather did. My grandmother was the first woman on the board of a bank in Huntley, Illinois
Oh,
in
neat.
1940.
That's awesome. I love
So
that.
I had always had this goal in mind that eventually I would want to get involved in investment finances. So,
So, all right. So let's back up for just one
okay.
minute. Let's go. So, at the point that you were diagnosed with breast cancer,
Hmm.
you're making sure your kids are getting through it. And did you put your business on hold for a little bit? And how was your relationship with your husband at the time as you're kind of going through that medical
Correct.
crisis?
We had already talked about divorce prior to me getting diagnosed with cancer. And I think I probably would have not gotten divorced had I not gotten cancer
Really?
because I had to start focusing on valuing my health.
Mm,
The behaviors weren't going to change in the marriage. And, you have to have two people that want to work towards something, and it wasn't. So I had to make the bold move and filed for divorce that following October.
okay. And were you both like joint financiers of the relationship, if you will? Like you were
Correct.
both contributing to
Yes.
your overall income and all of
Yes,
that.
correct.
Okay. So you kind of already knew how to write the checks and pay the bills and that sort of thing.
Yes, I
Okay.
did.
All right.
Yes.
And so you go through different types of treatments.
Yes, 3 years chemo,
Okay.
radiation, and then double mastectomy. And there was a tumor under my arm also. Thank the Lord. I had two lymph nodes removed on each side, and everything was cancer free by that time. But I had to try some unique chemos at the time
Mm-hmm.
that were in clinical studies because of
Wow.
the fact that it wasn't going well at the start.
Got it.
So, and in the meantime, you're trying to stay at making sure your kids are not worried about your
Yep.
health.
A mom, right?
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
that was a big challenge.
And how old were your kids at this time, the oldest and youngest?
Okay, my oldest at that time, my youngest was 11, and so my oldest was 21.
Okay. So those was a pretty wide span of emotional intelligence of the kids. I
Exactly.
mean, a 21-year-old can obviously understand a lot more than an 11-year-old. And that also is a challenge because
Oh,
you're not
yeah.
able to communicate to
Looking
all of
through
them the
their
same.
eyes to understand what they can handle or can't handle.
Right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Yes. So you beat cancer. Woohoo.
Ew.
And then you're still in Nashville. Now are you picking your business back up
Yes,
and the divorce is kind of you're going through it or it's
it took
over?
a long time.
Yeah.
It
Don't they all?
took about 3 years
Yeah.
to finalize everything. And then he moved away. So
Okay.
then I was like, okay, so I'm really on my own. Like everything is done by Carilu. So
Yeah. And
yes.
that's scary feeling, especially when you're an entrepreneur and you can't like health insurance, all of those major, more
Oh,
corporate things are now
exactly.
on your plate.
A huge house I need to sell. You have to realign all your finances to what you need to get done to make sure that your kids don't transition the lifestyle so much that they had, but yet they still have to recognize now that it's going to change. And
Yes.
that's a pretty hard conversation at times when they're used to doing things that now we can't
Absolutely.
do.
Yes, I 100% understand. It's only what your kids are used to, and now it's, can be gravely different oftentimes at the end. And so not only protecting them and, their feelings, but also being able to kind of mold them into good humans so that they understand that things do change, and,
Well,
and we have to
and
change with them.
right, and numbers don't lie. And
Right.
if you could get the emotion out of the numbers, like sitting down with my two little ones at that time, little ones, when the divorce happened, Luke was 14 and Hannah would have been 16. The other two are on their way in college doing
Right.
things.
But
And
that's still young. I mean, it's
it
still a
is.
transformational age.
But sitting down and giving them the facts with numbers, like look at how, this is what we have.
Mm-hmm.
How would you like to spend this?
Yep.
Where do you think we should put that energy?
Oh, see, that's a really cool thing. I never thought of that. But having someone to kind of help you do that is really, I mean, to have a friend that would have gone through that or someone that can articulate that very well.
Right.
I didn't do a very good job of articulating that, but that's a really good point.
Be real with them and show that it's just numbers. There's not emotions tied to these things.
Right.
So,
Well, that is such an awesome statement that you make, and it is a really good way for us to transition kind of into what the meat of the podcast is about. You went basically from wellness to a whole new world, and it's called wealth.
Correct.
So wellness to wealth. And what brought you back home, sadly, weren't good situations, right? You had elderly,
correct.
your parents were dealing with some things.
And also learning about Medicare, learning about hospice, learning about the financial decisions that would make with maybe an inheritance or anything that they financially had.
As you're going through this.
Exactly, like organizing their income, their priorities financially. It just stepped me into that world to be able to experience the reality, I guess, of those decisions.
Sure. And so now you are back home, and how do you even begin searching or looking for something? Now, you mentioned earlier you had always had an interest in finance and numbers, and the fact that you sat down with your kids and had that conversation through the divorce is almost prophetic, to the fact that you're going to end up being in more of the financial number situation. Because that is definitely not a conversation that I had, when I sat down with them. So that's why I speak into a microphone every day and you have a real job.
I don't know about that.
But so tell us, how did you you had obviously the wherewithal and the interest, but what is your background and how did you get a job in finance and what are you doing now?
Okay. Well, I am still studying for the exam to pass the registry to be investment advisor representative.
Okay.
So I'm putting myself in a new lingo. Everything is different. Concepts are different. But
wait, hold on one second. So just for everyone out there, what are you studying to actually do, like to be? Because not everybody understands the words that you just said.
Yes, an investment.
Least of all me. I'm like, wait, what are you going to do? What does the CPA do again? No.
Right, exactly.
So you're going to do what? You're going to help people
look at their financial situation, just like I did as a dietitian, the diet history, basically a financial history. And let's look at that and how do we tweak it, or where do we look that we need to make better choices so that we can financially reach the goals, or, and as a dietitian, the goal of whatever that was, weight
that
loss.
goal was, or better cholesterol.
Exactly.
This is very interesting. I love how you're transitioning your previous experience to what you're doing now. So once you pass your test, and you will, you essentially are helping people budget their money, manage their money, and invest their money?
Correct.
Okay.
The investment side, I'm going to leave to Mark.
Okay.
But as far as allocating what is need for the family at that time, going through their life situation, do you have a family member that now has to go to a nursing home? Do you have all these things? And we can dive into each thing and set them up, hopefully, for 5 years down the road, that this situation didn't devastate you financially.
Let's talk money. I know. Talking money is not my favorite topic either. But what I'm about to share with you could change your life for the better and for the long term. Profit Wealth Management of Kenosha, Wisconsin was founded in 1999 by owner Mark Hujick. With 37 years of experience in the financial world, Mark's main point of difference is how he treats his clients. And I would know because I am one of them. At Profit Wealth Management, you are not just a number. There are no rigid, prepackaged portfolios, and you will never be handed off to an inexperienced financial phone center when you call with a question. Profit Wealth Management takes pride in their superior service. Every single client is handled on an individual basis. Whether you are trying to save some money or you make $1 million and you want it to grow, they can help you. They are 100% fee-based with zero commission, and the best part is you have direct access to decision makers at all times. There's a good chance that many of y'all listening are thinking, I have no money. I'm not even sure if I have any assets. Perhaps you just graduated college, just got married, just lost a parent, just got divorced, or just started your very first job. Well, you are in luck, because another huge point of difference at Profit is that they offer free consultations with my friend and podcast guest, Carilu Robinson. A graduate of Utah State University and UW Parkside, Carilu has 30 years of experience in corporate counseling, and she really knows how to make your dollars work for you. Avoid the lure of quick fixes, learn about what assets you might have, or if not, how to start growing some. Any financial question you have, they can answer it. I am living proof. You will get first-class service and unparalleled solutions from honest and trustworthy individuals. Find them at 708 57th Street in Kenosha, Wisconsin, or call them to set up a free consultation with one of their advisors at 262-657-5555. They are open 5 days a week, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., and they service clients from coast to coast. Learn more at ProfitWealthManagement.com. That's Profit, Prophet, wealthmanagement.com. All right, so let's talk about Mark for a second, because what is really interesting to me, and I did not know this, so I did not know you prior to basically today. I mean, we met and we had just a brief conversation, but I love to learn about my guests literally live as we're doing it, because it makes it more interesting and I have more aha moments, off the cuff. You would think it would be the other way around, but it just isn't. And I think it is so interesting that you can literally take your past experience and how you would map out the success for a client, and now you're going to be doing it the same way, but in a different realm than what Mark actually does. So Mark, this is Mark Hugic. Say hi.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Good. So
enjoying your conversation.
You are? Okay. So can you just in a couple of sentences tell us about Profit Wealth Management, when you started it, and essentially how long you've been doing what you've been doing? Because you are, in my opinion, the best of the best.
Thank you. I started while I was still in school as an undergraduate. I started working for Kidder Peabody. I flew back and forth to New York 3 days a week and went to class 2 days a week during my last 2 trimesters at Northwestern, or quarters. After that, I traded in New York for almost 14 years and then moved back. I worked in Chicago for 2 years, selling, which I didn't like.
Okay.
And then looked to buy a business in Wisconsin when my wife Terry and I moved back.
And you're originally from Kenosha, right?
I'm originally from Kenosha.
And Terry is as well?
Bristol, so out in the county. So,
yeah, out in the county. I love saying out in the county.
So looked around, didn't see anything I wanted, thought I had 16 years of experience that I shouldn't let go of. And I opened Profit Wealth Management with no clients other than myself in November of 1999.
And so how old were you about that time?
Let me do the math, 36.
I mean, that's really young for someone to open what would be considered a business that, when people are coming to you, they generally have some money, right? I mean, that is the point. They want to make more of it, but they have something and they want you, and they're going to trust you to take it, to grow it, to make good decisions with it. And I would imagine that in the beginning at 36, I mean, and this is just a guess, it was probably hard to kind of bring in new clients. Now your portfolio, though, is immense. Was it a lot of, and mostly men that you were
from 8 a.m.
consulting
to 5
men with
p.m.
businesses, or men that had good careers? Or
you can reach them
did you kind of feel like it was equal among the sexes of people
you
that
can
were
reach
coming
them 5
to
days
you
a week
and hiring you?
from 8
More
a.m.
equal than
to
you'd
5
think.
p.m.
Really?
I had a reputation more from an athletic standpoint than anything of being successful in Kenosha.
Because you were like the star quarterback. I know this, right? The star quarterback and a few other things until you had knee problems, right? Were you in college and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, he doesn't like to brag about himself.
They knew that I'd traded in New York and knew that I'd been involved in finance and been relatively successful. So we attracted people to come in, and I tell people that my biggest job is to try to keep other entrepreneurs, doctors, lawyers, families that have been successful in saving some money out of their own way and create a simple portfolio for them that made sense.
Yeah. Small business owners like
Yep,
me.
absolutely. And the biggest thing was keeping people out of their own way.
Yeah.
Because there's a core portfolio that I believe is essential to everybody. And it's unique to everyone because each person you invest for isn't the same, don't have the same risk tolerances, don't have the same goals,
Yes.
are at different points in their life.
Absolutely.
So
different ages,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. So you want to create something uniquely for them rather
Right.
than just a prepackaged, you're going to get portfolio A, you're going to get portfolio B.
And is that how some companies out there do it?
That's how most do it.
Got it.
So
You're very customized, is
we're,
what you're
we're
saying.
very customized, and you get an opportunity to talk to the decision maker about the portfolio.
Right.
And ultimately, it's your money.
Right.
It's your money. I'm just a facilitator to try to do with your money what you would do if you had the time to do it.
Or if I knew what the heck I was doing, right?
That as well, but we're trying to create portfolios for you and do the work for you.
Right. So what I find super interesting is that over the past probably 15, maybe 20 years, and you could maybe add more light to this, but sadly divorce is, a thing and it's on the rise for sure. Oftentimes there are women like me who were the stay-at-home mom, if you will, the mop in the corner, who gets a little part-time job and then becomes successful at it. And, things in the marriage change for XYZ reasons. And then she finds herself divorced without any of the passcodes, without having any idea what is the 401k? Do we even have one? How big is it? How little is it? Is it something you can live off of? Do my kids have college funds already set up? All of the things that you were talking about, Carilu, a little earlier, in terms of not only battling cancer, but battling these decisions and divorce, right? And this pending divorce. And so what I think is really cool, and I'm going to kind of break the news, I guess, is that what happened for me and the way I met Mark is because his business is directly across the street from mine. So he became just their regular customers. They come, they say hi, they're walking their dogs, all this stuff. And so I've known him for 4 years. I know you have known them since when? How long?
Yes. Way back when in Kenosha, I used to work at Kenosha Hospital Medical Center, and my children, I put them in Armitage Academy at that time, where his 2 older children were. And so that's how we developed a friendship with his wife, Terry. I'm sure you've met her.
Yep, love Terry.
Me too. And that's kind of how our friendship started. And through that, my parents actually decided to take him as an investment advisor.
Got it. And so were you maintaining your friendship then with Terry kind of through all these years?
Yes, but,
Facebook-y and that kind of thing?
Not really till after my father passed in 2018, and then we had to meet with Mark, and
got it.
And then my mom passed, and
kind of renewed your friendship.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Because that's how you guys kind of got back together again, if you will. But so what I find super interesting is that you are now working at Profit Wealth Management with Mark. You are really kind of a unique person. This is another what I call point of difference, which is so cool about Profit Wealth Management. So when I went to Mark, I was basically going like one of his kids, honestly. Like he is almost like a second father to me. My dad's in Arizona most of the year.
He may prefer being called brother.
I don't know. How close am I to one of your kids? Or how close am I to your oldest? I'm not sure. But at any rate, I knew that I could trust him even without having an account there or anything. And would ask him some questions, and he gave me great feedback and great direction. And he took a lot of his personal time to look at some of the things that I was going through. Now, what I have talked about a few episodes ago with my friend Rhonda, who is a divorce management specialist, sort of like what you're going to be bringing to the table at a different level is what I'm thinking. So what your goal is when people come in is not just to talk to divorced women, but that is definitely a key part of it. But you've been through the death of the parents part. You've been through what I can imagine would be bills with health issues and divorce. And your parents probably, maybe they had some savings. But what I view your position to be at Profit Wealth Management is almost like, it's definitely a point of difference because it's something even bigger than what, Rhonda does at her business. And that is, you're going to be working with not only divorced women, But people like yourself who have lost parents, people like yourself who have been through divorce, who probably have, medical bills from illness, all you basically are A through Z.
Right. I have covered, I think, every category that at least I know of that will hit you financially.
And so your role is what? This is really kind of an exciting thing because I view this to be a really new position. So, like Rhonda, she's one of the only people in the country to do what she does. And y'all came up with this concept for your position with Mark. And
Correct.
I think it might be the one of its kind. I've never heard of this before. So tell us what your new role is.
Well, my new role is number one, the existing clients getting more specialized in what their needs are as far as financials for today. People might come in and now they want to do a Roth IRA or they want to come in and do some other type of investing, but they have this school loan here or they have some other debt they want to look at. Just looking at the whole picture of your finances, not just for investments, but also for the whole picture as far as what you're going to budget on and things like that.
Okay, so again, it's like that health plan. Mark, what is an age that you would typically say would be the age that you would want to start maybe even consulting on a very basic level with someone like yourself?
30 to 35, probably.
Okay.
We need a specific number of assets to get started with people. But once we have that, life moves very quickly.
Right.
And what I wanted to add to what Carrie Lou's answer was about what her position is, Carrie doesn't say it, but Carrie was a very good athlete as well. And she tackles things along a coaching and teaching line that you might not see if you don't know her background. When you were surprised how she talked to her kids about finances and how to do things and how to go about things.
Right.
And then you saw from her career as a dietitian and coach how to help people with life.
Right.
And when she came back to town and we went through some of the things for her parents, I was amazed at how thorough she was with multiple accounts, helping sell her father's business, walking through a number of different processes and understanding them and how organized and complete she was. And when I talked to her about potentially working together, she wanted to help people and she wanted to talk to people and help them through situations. And she's looking at it in my eyes like a coach or a teacher would,
Right.
and helping people through those situations. And I think that that's how she's going to differentiate herself and how she's going to help us, not so much on the investment side of what we're doing. She can leave me back in the corner to do those things in the dark room with the, with the lights off. But she can work with people and articulate experiences on how to go about that. I mean, we have numerous clients and they're in different places in their life. Widows, widowers, we've got divorce situations, we've got kids moving away from school, we've got people debating selling their home, looking for a second home, maybe looking to move, all those life situations that we all come to eventually.
Right.
She's going to be the person, hopefully, that can help
Right.
provide those services to you.
Right. And so the consultation part is huge. And that kind of speaks to the part that I was saying before, where I was kind of going to Mark as like a dad and he was giving me the advice. And obviously he can't do that for all hundreds of his clients,
Exactly.
everyone, and that's kind of your role then to kind of be the caregiver, if you will. And it seems like a silly name to use when you're talking about finance, but it is so true because when people come, oftentimes if they're widowers or divorcees or what have you, it's sad. It's
It is.
hard. I think I cried in Mark's desk like at least 10 times, So, losing a loved one, all of that stuff, having to sell a home that you've had for 30 years because it's time and you don't have 4 kids in it anymore. I mean, all of those life changes are hard. And it takes somebody that has a real strong heart and an emotional intelligence to really be able to connect with those people. And that's connection equals trust, and trust equals loyalty. And I mean, that's what we're looking at and looking for when you own a business, wouldn't you
Exactly.
say?
And you've got to get into the details to really understand.
Right.
And it's not easy for people to do that at times. But you have to remember that, number one, joy is always secure, no matter what circumstance you're in. Happiness is circumstantial, but joy isn't. And so when you lean into that gratitude of, okay, This is what I've got, and I'm going to look at it as a good thing. It's hard as you know what, but I'm going to look at it as good. I'm going to find the good in this. When he talked about the gymnastics part or the athlete part, I'm your state Wisconsin gymnast in 1980, number one.
Whoa! Yay!
But let me tell you about one of my fears at 16. You said this was the 16th episode.
Yes.
Well, I will never forget when you had you recently sent my general checklist as far as, what was one of your fears. So I went back to the decades, and I remember 16. I was the first one in Burlington going to be throwing a back layout with a full twist. All right. Scared to death. Couldn't do it.
Sounds scary, Carilu.
No, but now they're doing quadruple twists, But back then I went and I was so scared because I was the first one. And so I went to this camp, North Wisconsin, Tamaha, Wisconsin. Every girl there was doing them. So when you put yourself in the arena of the people doing something you want to do, it seems easier, doesn't it?
Yes.
So the same thing with my finances or my new career. I'm putting myself in the best situation. What are the top 5 people that you want to have company with?
Right.
You want to be in their company.
Right. Surround yourself with successful people and you will be successful for sure. I love the mantra. Is that kind of your mantra now then? You've been through a lot of tough stuff and you've been through, as a woman, it's always an uphill battle, a little bit more for us than anyone else, I feel. And so your mantra, do you have one that you live by? Like, I love the joy thing.
Joy is secure.
Right. That is such a great mantra and such a great thing for the Fearlessly Authentic listeners, because oftentimes they come looking for inspiration, looking to be more, do more, go further in their career or take a chance. And it's hard and it's risky to completely invest yourself into something not knowing what the outcome is going to be.
Exactly. But that's what you've got to do.
Right.
You have to give it 100%, 120%.
Take the leap. That's why you see my sign over there. That's one of my mantras. It's go, set, ready.
Exactly.
Which is the opposite of the way
know.
it's supposed to be. And that's on purpose because it's so much easier to jump in the lake than it is to think about what's in the lake and how cold it's going to be and should I or shouldn't I jump. It's just if you just do it, you know what I mean?
Put yourself in the arena, go for it.
100%. So let's ask a couple of fun questions now because the fun is what we like to end the show with. And so I love to know, so you talked a little bit about your personal mantra, and I love that about joy. And in fact, I want to make sure that we tag that or use that as a leap to a blog or something, because you saying that made my brain go, whoop, what? Because you're right. Happiness is one thing.
Circumstantial.
And joy is so different. Joy is from the inside out. It's it's not just, you're right. Gosh, I'm having such an aha moment right now, y'all. So, all right. Well, one of the fun and final questions I always ask, because, we try to keep our podcast 30, 35 minutes so people don't get sick of me. Who could ever get sick of me?
Exactly.
If you were Oprah and you had all the money in the world, as we're talking about money, it doesn't matter if it's a $2 item or a $2,000 or $20,000, although Mark would probably hate that. What if you could give to every single person, that you met? What would be one of the things, your favorite things that you would give?
Well, in this pandemic, I've leaned into wine.
Oh,
and
go
it
figure.
just so happens 524, domain 524 is the wine I would love to give to everybody.
It is excellent. The Pinot Noir.
Yes.
It is sold locally here in Kenosha. Well, I'm in Racine. Do you sell it? So let's break the news now. Okay, so the domain 524 is Mark's actually wine. He owns a vineyard in Oregon. And so you make a Pinot Noir and a Rosé?
Correct. We grow 100% Pinot at our vineyard. And so with that, we make Pinot and Pinot Noir Rosé.
Rosé is kind of like the new Chardonnay. I don't know if you remember, well, of course you remember, but Sex and the City or some of those sorts of shows or what have you, they were either having Chardonnay or they were having, Cosmopolitan or whatever. But now it's rosé,
yes,
all day. It has a slogan, rosé all day. And it is fabulous. And so we can get 524 where? In Kenosha? I know at Tenuda's, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then where else?
It's at a number of places.
Oh,
and then we
okay.
sell on our website, and shortly we'll be selling at our tasting room out in Oregon.
Oh, that's going to be exciting. And so the website is domain with an E 524.com. And because it's in Oregon and you can ship because you're a winery, anyone can order it online all throughout the country. So if y'all are like wanting some Pinot Noir after this episode, which I feel like a glass right now, you can go to www. I know I'm not supposed to say that. Eddie says I don't have to say that. But domain with an E 524.com. It has been such a pleasure, and I'll be waiting for my bottle of wine, by the way, since you're going to be giving it away to everyone you know. No,
Okay.
I'm just kidding, Carilu. Are you getting paid in
I'll
wine?
talk to the boss.
Yeah. Are you getting paid in wine?
Not yet.
Not yet. No. We also make candles at Authentique that have in Domain 524 bottles
Oh,
that Mark
wonderful.
sells. I don't know if do you sell them in the vineyard or do you sell them online or where do you sell, or you just sell them to your friends or what?
We're not yet online with those, but we sell those out at the vineyard.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Do people like them? I never even asked.
People love them.
Isn't that so cool? I love it. It's like such a full circle moment all the
Absolutely.
time that you're a brand new person in my life and now part of my tribe, which I talk about a lot. And you're going to be right across the street so we can get coffee and or wine anytime.
I would love that.
And if people want to find you and solicit your services and, get to know Mark, they can find you at profitwealth.com. Thanks again, guys. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you for listening to Fearlessly Authentic. My mom hopes this episode empowered you to be fearless. Please remember to subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Share, rate, and comment because my mom wants to hear all of your feedback. Contact her directly at fearless@fearlesslyauthentic.com. Hosted and executive produced by my mom, Kimberly Warner, produced and mixed by Steve Hawkins, and co-hosted by Eddie Polanzani. Connect with us on social media via fearlesslyauthentic.com. Copyright Fearlessly Authentic 2020.